redemption. I will never let you down. Will it ever get sunny? Oh, I wonder, honey, baby, how you make me sway. You say it will. I'm calling your addictive brain. You say it will, yeah. I'm crossing the obsessive line. You say it will. I'm calling your addictive brain. You say it will, yeah. I'm crossing the obsessive line. Saw you rolling steady, took it kinda heavy. Baby, I'm a loving kind. Jaded loving hazard doesn't really matter. Baby, say you will be mine. Take my affection and my safe protection. I will always be around. Will it ever get sunny? Oh, I wonder, honey. I'm tired of being in the line. You say it will. I'm calling your addictive brain. You say it will, yeah. I'm crossing the obsessive line. You say it will. I'm calling your addictive brain. You say it will, yeah. I'm crossing the obsessive line. Wasted all my money, all on you, honey. Baby, will you look my way? Been ditching all my bodies, failing all the studies. Baby, I am out to play. Give me your attention and your sweet redemption. I will never let you down. Will it ever get sunny? Oh, I wonder, honey, baby, how you make me sway. You say it will. I'm calling your addictive brain. You say it will, yeah. I'm crossing the obsessive line. You say it will. I'm calling your addictive brain. You say it will, yeah. I'm crossing the my safe protection. I will always be around. Will it ever get sunny? Oh, I wonder, honey. I'm tired of being in the line. You say it will. I'm caught in your addictive brain. You say it will, yeah. I'm crossing the obsessive line. You say it will. I'm caught in your addictive brain. You say it will, yeah. I'm crossing the obsessive line.
Good evening everyone, welcome to Simsport Racing International, where tonight we travel to the outskirts of Budapest to the historic Hungaroring. 4.3 kilometres, 2.7 miles of twists, turns and epic racing. Constructed in 8 months in 1985, it holds the record for the fastest purpose-built track in F1 history. 14 turns, very high speed with some tricky direction changes and heavy braking zones, which put the drivers and their cars on the absolute limit. We've seen epic races here in the past, Jenson Button, Esteban Ocon winning their first ever Grand Prix here, Thierry Boutsen winning from pole, and epic battles between Mercedes, Red Bull and the iconic McLarens of Senna and Prost. But tonight, however, we bring you round 4 of the SSRi GT3 Championship. Cars from every stable, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, the cream of the GT3 world and the absolute best drivers of the community. We see Dean Riley currently leading the standings with great consistency, Lewis Dykes in P2 with Robbie Stapleford and Charlie Crossland having to drop out of the season, leaving the series wide open for a new champion. 4 race meetings remain for the season, which promises to be ultra close. Thank you for joining us tonight for the Tier 1 race. Tonight, if it all goes to plan, you'll be, for the first time, able to watch a recording with live commentary of the Tier 2 race. So if one fix of this great series isn't enough, click subscribe and hit that notification bell to be alerted to the stream when it's made live. I'm Dave Hedges, and on cams tonight, Tom Vandermeer, and tonight I'm joined in the commentary box by Adam Bent, and for the first time, Boet Vert. Good evening, chaps. Welcome. The race we have in store tonight is mouth-watering, to say the least.
Absolutely. Good evening, Dave. Yeah, it's looking like a really good race tonight. Hungaroring, personally not one of my favourite tracks, but definitely a track that's very good for racing indeed.
Okay, so let's nip over to qualifying. I think there's about 10 minutes to go and see what's happening on track. So we go with Dean Riley, just starting his flying lap by the looks of things. Currently in P2, only 0.26 behind Sem Spenkelink with a 142.732. Sem's currently on a flying lap with about 0.03 of a second up, so he's obviously flying. Looks like Dean's got a pretty well balanced car there.
Yeah, it's already looking like a good session here. You can see that the top two only separated by, quarter of a second there, with another tenth back to third place in another BMW. Two Hondas at the front. Normally I'm used to seeing Hondas further back, but it's good to see those Hondas towards the front. So yeah, it's good to see a lot of variety in the top 10 so far, with Pixley in the top 10, rounding out top 10 with the Bentley.
And there's Sem, he's just gone better. 142.6, so improved by about a tenth there. The top three actually all have one sector as the fastest in purple, so looks like it's going to be a tight qualifying there. Dean Riley currently nearly 2 tenths up on this lap, so he could be coming around the last couple of corners and maybe putting it on pole, although he's just lost it. But Sem Spenkelink there bouncing over the curbs. It's obviously that Honda, I think, has just had a little bit of an improvement with the latest update, and it seems to have made the car a lot better to drive, and Sem's loving it at the minute.
Absolutely. I'm used to seeing, like I say, seeing the Honda, a very quick car still, but normally, mid pack to maybe the close end of the top 10. But no, I'm not used to seeing it up this far forward anyway. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, certainly commentator's curse there. He nearly dropped it on into the chicane.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, obviously, normally, I think with this new BOP update, the Honda seems to have come into a more favourable position for these drivers. So maybe the next season, if they don't change it soon, the Honda may be more prominent in the field.
Yeah, we've got Clyde Bainey here. He's also nearly a tenth up on his fastest time. Looks like he could improve, but it's a tight, tricky section there. You've got to get it right, otherwise you run wide and you can dirty the lap. So into the tight right-hander, almost up into the hairpin with a second to last corner. So take a tight line and let it drift out onto the green. It's a really tricky corner, that one. You've got a lot of track though to be able to get into the second corner, into the last corner.
Absolutely.
Go on, Adam.
I was just going to say, it's a bit of a wider track than some of the tracks that we've been going to. So it's definitely a lot, while the corners are a bit sharper, you can definitely a lot more room to run wide and sort of keep the lap on the island as such. So.
Yeah, so Clyde Bainey then put it in fourth, so he's already he was almost 0.2 up there on the first corner, but he's obviously went in a little bit hot. Dean Riley currently 0.2 up as well, so he's now got the best sectors for the Sector 2 and Sector 3 with Sem Spenkelink with Sector 1, so it's getting even tighter at the top.
Yeah, you can see there on the timing sheet there that Dean Riley holds for two of the three fastest sectors, Sectors 2 and 3. Well, not substantially quicker. I mean, the third sector, only 5,000th, if I'm not mistaken, off Sem's time, but you can see that Sem's just made all his time in the first sector there, and it's quite a margin between the two, so he needs to find a lot of time in the first sector, Dean, in order to try and take that pole away from the 74 Honda.
Yeah, so Vuto, have you driven the Honda since the update?
No, I've never driven the Honda and wasn't actually planning on doing it, so
Well, it looks like there's there might be certainly an opportunity there. It's looking like it's picked up some speed, that's for sure. We've got Regan Mitchell on the track at the moment. Zancho Simsport driver, an ex SSRi esports driver. Gladly passed over to the Zancho team, so he'll be taking part in some of the big SRI events, I'm sure.
And with the top 10 all in 1 second, this should be a very close and nice race.
Yeah, who's on the move there? We've got Wilczek on in P6, currently nearly half a second up on his fastest lap. So what a lap that'll be if he gets it going. Here he is on screen, coming into the second to last turn. Still 0.4 up on his fastest lap. So only one corner to go. Looks like he's pinned it right on the apex. He's going to let it run out wide. Oh, he's invalidated. What a shame. Maybe that's why he was so far up on the time. Cut it somewhere. Who else is on the move here? Let's check down the times. Aaron Van Drunen, P24, coming 2 tenths up. Who's on screen? What a lovely livery that is. We saw that one on Friday night on the endurance 2.4 endurance, which we run every month. So if anyone's interested in putting together a team, there's some space. The BMW does seem to ride that chicane very well. There's a big sausage curve on the apex of the first right-hander part of it, and if you get that right, and you can position your car over the second sausage, you can actually make up loads of time there. So Aaron's really pushing, trying to get that same time, but he's dropped a little bit now, only 1/10 up on his fastest. But coming around to the second to last corner, just getting past the slower car there. Good play there from the driver, just to making sure that he's not getting in the way of the faster cars. You see on the track map on the right hand side there, anything that's turquoise is a car that's not on a valid lap. Anything that's green is a car on a valid lap. Well, he nearly lost it there, didn't he? It's just going into that corner a little bit too fast, and lost a little bit of time. But did he improve? No, he didn't there. Unfortunately, I think that cost him that little twitch on the apex there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It was looking like a good lap there.
Dimitri de Cointer, the Bentley does look nice, doesn't it, when it's got all liveried up. It's gone for the old turquoise and purple. Or is that maroon? It's probably close enough. It's both. So where is he? Let's have a look on his times. So he's looking like he's going to improve, but he's got to have a good last corner here. Might get a 10th. He's just drifting away. Yeah, looks like he's going to stay where he is. So up at the top of Nard Cox was he's just gone P4. Put 3 tenths up there, so that's a good lap from Nard. Everyone else looks pretty stable, although Antamachi's jumped ahead of Dean Riley there with a 142.7, only 1/10 behind Sem Spenkelink, and a further 400ths behind is Dean Riley in 4th. Nard Cox 0.2 behind Sem, nearly 0.3 in 4th. Mike Blaney 0.6 behind, Wilczek 0.7 behind, Dave Jr. Likewise only 2/1000ths of a second behind Wilczek there. So it's got a lot of time to be able to make up to the P1, but only maybe 2 tenths will get him up into P5. Antamachi there, is he going to improve? No, he doesn't there, so on to the next lap. So we've only got, this is the last lap for some of these guys, so they've obviously got to make it count. Here we go with is that John Betton? Yeah, so he's in P13 currently, and he's 0.2 up on this lap, so it looks like he's going to maybe jump up into P10 or P9 if he can hold it there. Oh, he's only gone up to P12, so only made 1 place there, but he's still got enough time for another lap if he's fueled enough. Nathan Pearce here in P9 currently. Nathan's got a 10th up on this lap, coming into second to last corner. Looks like a good line there. Just letting it run wide out, almost out onto the AstroTurf. This sim certainly just, as soon as you get out onto the curves, it does seem to allow the tyres to bounce a bit, so you do seem to lose a bit of traction. So almost getting out onto the AstroTurf, and he doesn't improve on position. So still remains P9, so he's finished his lap. So who's out still? Sem Spenkeling's still out on track. Luke B, he's nearly 2 tenths up, so that could actually jump him up if he finishes his lap well, jump him up to 12. So he'll be wanting to make sure he finishes his lap well. He's on a good line there, so that he's using all the track, and you see the Audi behind possibly going a bit too far over, and certainly the BMW behind that would definitely be a dirty lap. But taking the corners well there, good line into turn 13, coming up to turn 14. Yeah, he's run wide there, which is good. See if the Honda stays stable for him. It's looking good. But he's lost the time there, so it doesn't look like he's going to improve. And he doesn't know, so stays P17. Dean Riley left out on track. He's got a little bit of improvement, nearly 2 tenths up. And Nelson looks like he's going to improve. Yep, up to P20, and Dean Riley just improves to put in P2. Well, that was exciting there, so it's good to see.
Yeah, it was good to see. Again, very close towards the end there. A lot of people getting close to bettering their laps. Just unfortunate that they obviously run off a bit too early or run wide, and it just doesn't come through for them.
So what you're doing now is, in terms of your preparation on track, Buto, you've got 5 minutes gap there. You quickly pop into the bathroom and or just making last minute tweaks to your setup.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially the bathroom visit, and that 5 minutes is important.
It is, yes. So shall we have a quick look at the track map? So here we go. There's great graphics here, kindly done by Adam Asailovic, who's racing tonight. So sector 1 is a really fast sector. You go into a hairpin, lots of overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and turn 2. Got to get a good exit up the hill into sector 2. The fast left-hander into the hairpin and the chicane there you saw with the cars bumping over the curbs. All the way down the straight, another overtaking opportunity, but you've got to be very close to the person in front of you into the 2 hairpins and back onto the start-finish straight for the main overtaking zone there. So that's the track map in a brief overview. And this season, let's have a look at the lineup for this season. Okay, so we travelled to Imola for round 1 for a 60-minute race with no mandatory stop. And round 2, we moved all the way back over to Blighty into Oulton Park for 2 30-minute sprint races, which was fun. All the way around to Japan into Suzuka for a 75-minute race, 1 mandatory stop. All the way back to Budapest into Europe, as we are now, with a 60-minute race, no mandatory stop. Next time out, we're in two times 30-minute sprint races into San Marino in Misano. Jetting off back to Blighty and Silverstone for a 75-minute race with 1 mandatory stop, and finishing in South Africa in Kyalami for a 75-minute race with, again, 1 mandatory stop. So we've got a few minutes to go, so we'll just run down the running order on the grid. So currently Sem has not joined the grid, so it may be that he's had a disconnection issue. So we'll run down the grid anyway and see if he comes back in. I think he might have just jumped back into the server, so let's hope he has managed to do that, because it'd be unfortunate, because that's his best qualifying of the season. So in P2, de facto P1 at the moment, Dean Riley. In P2, 3. I'll just read them out as we are now. And Tamachi, Next comes Nard Cox with Clyde Bainey in 5th. Adam Sailovich qualifying in 5th. Wilczek qualifying in 7th. Dave Jr. in 8th. Nathan Bierce in 9th. Regan Mitchell qualifying 10th. Mallard in 11th. Beton in 12th. Rich Pixley qualifying in 13th in the Wild Things car. Medema in P14. Vujanovic in P15 in the BMW. Mead in the AMG Mercedes in P16. B there in the Honda. DeCoint in the, I think that's in the Aston Martin, isn't it? Oh no, in the Bentley. Zverink in the BMW. De Bruyne in the BMW as well. Alex Crawford in another Honda, so the Honda's doing very well. De Swart in the Porsche, I think that's the highest qualifying Porsche. Vanier in Audi. Koen Septer also in an Audi in P24. Frans van der Linden in BMW in P25. And Van Drunen also in the BMW P26. Holzer Porsche in P27. Sander Vale. Uncharacteristic there with Sander being down the field in P28. Anthony de Horst P29 in the BMW. Sebastian de Tollenaire in P30. B-Tractor in the Porsche in P31, and Planus P32, and Sem Spenkling actually showing P32 there, so it looks like he might have been repositioned at the back of the grid there for some reason, so that's unfortunate. He must have had a disconnection which has caused him to go to the back of the grid. So he'll be hoping to make his way through the track, through the field there. So off we go onto the warm-up lap. This is where they're going to be really looking to warm up their tyres, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you get one lap now to get everything ready up to temperature, your brakes, your tyres, make sure all your fuel settings are right. Obviously, there's no mandatory stop, so this will be one and done for all these drivers. So they've got to hope that they've put the right amount of fuel on and their strategies pay off. What's
your normal warm-up lap routine, Buto? Is you on the brakes constantly to warm the brakes up, or you just trying to warm the tyres up?
Yeah, trying to warm the brakes up, tyres up, and mostly getting myself ready. It's an hour race for those guys, so it isn't over in 10 minutes, so you have to be prepared for it. But
yeah, are you playing around with the brake balance at all when you warm your brakes up, or you just literally just hoping that they heat up at the same rate?
Yeah, mostly I hope for the brakes to heat up. My most important part is just to warm the tires up. The brakes in the Austin are quite nice for me. So
tell me about the positioning, because obviously this sim we have a warm up that lap that is controlled in terms of the distance to the first person, but when you get up to the grid you have a set speed limit to keep to.
Yeah, that's it. Just try and get to the speed limit and don't go too fast, and stay in a good position for the start. That's basically it.
Yeah, so we've seen all sorts of tactics before where you've seen their cars, driving through each other, which was great to see on stream. But it looks like actually that car probably was a little bit out of position and just trying to get back into position there. So we're coming round almost to the last corner, so they would have got the driving double file message from the sim. And you can see there that they're just sort of doing their last sort of brake warm up. Narcox there, just showing Dean Riley ahead of him that he's there and ready to race. Trying to probably stay off the marbles as well, and especially the guys on the outside there. They're going to be dirtying their tyres, which really does affect the cars here. So we're coming on to the start finish straight. So we're about to go green, and then we're off. now, when we're off, green. So Dean Riley's got a reasonable start there with Antamachi just trying to hold station on the outside, and will he go on the outside? You can see the racing line there, and Dean's got it there. But Nard's taken advantage of Antamachi running wide. Asailovic there in P5 holding station, but he might have. It looks like he's got the inside line to turn 2. Nard Cox there just getting back staying in front. Actually, is that? It's Antamachi, yeah, definitely. He's just waiting for the timing towers to update with Asailovic. Just trying to stay on, trying to give the guy in front just a little bit of room. There's no way around the outside there, is there? Into that turn. Coming up to the hairpin into the chicane. Looks like it's been fairly reasonable in terms of the incidents. It looks like there've been a couple at the back there, but we'll just watch what's happened there. I think it's 174. Is it Nate Pearson who's fallen back there? But yeah, Adam Asailovic, just trying to settle in now already. Just see if he can keep up with Bainey in front and keep Dave Jr., who's fast behind. But look at all those BMWs up there. I mean, that's obscene, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, it actually looked like Nard got a bit of a poor start at the start there. It looked like he was going to get swallowed by Zailovic and Barney, but he just seemed to get it all right into turn 1, and obviously pressure his way back through. And now he's obviously sat on the back of Dean Riley.
How do you think they're going to be? It's obviously an hour's race tonight. They're going to have to manage their tyres tonight. Absolutely.
We'll have a quick look replay at the start now. So there's an Audi on the apron there, and that looked like the Porsche going off as well as. So that's Sem on the outside. So that didn't look great. So it's obviously a few points of contact there in that right-hander. But Sem's now climbing his way back up through the field here. Obviously passes Van der Linden. Easy move there into turn 1. Very good on the brakes there, the NSX. But like I say, with it being an hour-long race, all these cars have different fuel rates. They all of them have different tire, wear tires at different rates. So it's all about managing your strategy and running to your race. Obviously, you are racing for positions, but racing all your tires out the first 10 minutes will just mean that for the next 50 minutes, you're fighting to keep that car on the track.
Yeah, we've got James Mead here, just putting quite a bit of pressure on Rich Pixie there, and just looking like he got a little bit out of shape there. Both those cars ride those curbs really well, so he's not going to gain any time there. But if he can keep putting the pressure on Rich, I'm sure he'll be able to get past. It does seem to be an opportunity into the first turn here. It was always, I think, quite difficult just to make it into turn 1 with time to spare. In terms of passing people, but he's looking like he's putting a lot of pressure on there, isn't he? What's happened to Sam?
He's floating away there, but
I think that might have highlighted what Sam's problem was earlier. It looks like he's got a connection problem for sure.
Yeah, I think he's just come up as yellow on the map.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be DNFing. That's unfortunate because he obviously had the pace there to bring it home for the win.
Absolutely.
Here we are with Nate Pearce. Get inside. We'll check there. That's a good move. But can he switch back? Or looks like he might have got just out just in time. But Wojciech is just looking to try and get the outside, but it's not really a passing move on the outside there, unless there's a lots of traction or something from the guy in front. So good move there. Moving up to P7. Beaton looking to consolidate there and maybe put a bit of pressure on James Mead, who's battling with Rich Pixley in front of him. But it looks like they're settling down with 0.3, 0.5 gap. But it looks like Pixley just maybe didn't get a great line into the hairpin there. But moving into the chicane with Noah Cox. Just coming around the back of the course there, almost back onto the little straight before the last complex. He's getting a bit of pressure there from Antamachi, so he's definitely getting a bit close. We've obviously Dean Riley pulling out 1.4 seconds now, so Yeah, 1.4 seconds. We're 0.3 seconds here from Van Tamachi and Narcock. So Van Tamachi's looking really to put some pressure on here. He's getting very close, which he needs to get the draft down the straight. Just looking to take the slightly wider line to get the better exit out of the last corner there. So let's see if he can drag down the start-finish straight. And yeah, the Honda is actually a very quick car in a straight line, so he's looking like he's holding station. So that might be quite a difficult pass, because looks like the Honda's got the straight line speed there.
Yeah, it did look like the Honda got a better exit out of the last turn in towards turn 1. Again, obviously the BMW is trying to use its bigger engine to pass the Honda, but it just seemed that the Honda had the better straight line there. It's going to be a case of that's John Baton and Medema. That's another BMW out in the back there as well. I'm not sure who that was.
Yeah, it's Van der Linden, I think, there. So that's out on the same corner as well, so maybe there's a bit of a coming together there. So Antamachi's still going for it, looking to just show his nose in there with Narcock. So coming up to the chicane here, which is critical. Do you get right? Because if you don't, then you're off into the barrier, or you've got a track cut, and you don't want 3 track cuts on this track, because there's no coming back. Now we've got a yellow flag there with Van der Linden. It looks like he's stopped and jumped back to pits. So perhaps the incident that he had has given him too much damage. So looks like a DNF there for Van der Linden.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So Antamachi's still putting pressure on there. So he's coming up to the 90-degree turn 12. There we go, he's steamrolling up there. He's got really close in there. He's got the opportunity to get up the inside of Nard, but decides better of it. Nard's run wide, so is he going to get? I would be putting pressure on him to Nard just to stay really tight. He looks like he's giving him a bit too much room, perhaps. But again, he's try and get the better exit. So it doesn't look like Nard's got as good an exit there. It looks like he might get up the inside, but no, he's just pulling out again. So he's got some good speed on that Honda. It looks like he might be running it fairly low downforce.
Yeah, it seems to be that he's struggling a bit from the corners, but obviously down the straights it seems to be like a bullet, just pulling away enough of a gap during the acceleration phase to cover off that BMW's obviously, I think, higher top end in the BMW, so give him a longer, a little bit of a longer straight, and he probably would have him. But yeah, that Honda just quick enough to hold Antamachi behind.
Yeah, we got a replay here of Van der Linden and Besson. Oh, unfortunately, he just missed his braking point there, and that's put him off into oblivion. Fair play, he's waited for him, but that's unfortunate. Oh, and there he goes behind. So that was the incident with Van der Linden there, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked like he just lost it on his own. We've got Sam in the chat just saying, why can't we have nice things? It's really unfortunate to see that, Sam. Obviously, you were doing really good. And Prince, flying.
Literally flying.
Literally. Princey 97 saying that their teammates were both Lulu and Crawford, who have now obviously dropped down to the bottom end of the field. So, really unfortunate for them both.
So did they both come together? I don't think was it just that
in the opening lap?
Right, that's unfortunate. Still plenty of time to go. 51 minutes, so hopefully they haven't got too much damage and they can make their way back up through the field. With as we see, Crawford goes into the pits. So I don't know if that's a repair stop or whether it's a port back for a DNF. But these two fighting, it looks like Clyde Bainey is just holding station there, and just sort of maybe assessing where he could be quicker and seeing if he can just be on station there, just to see if there's going to be a mistake or some kind of touch or run wide from these two, and he's ready there to pounce.
Also, Minima and Baton, who went from battling for the P2 and 3 in silver class back to P5 and 6. So with that little mistake of Minima.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He obviously had contact there, didn't he? And it's pushed him back down the field. But Rich Pixley's still in P1 for the silver class, so he's doing well in P11 there overall. Here he's on screen in the Wild Things Epics livery. It's a lovely car, the Bentley, but it takes a lot getting used to driving on the right hand side. Even though in the UK we drive on the right hand side all the time, it just feels a bit odd. Especially if you flip between cars, with left or right hand drive, and our favourite Mr. Mark Neutzelings, he loves that car, and he doesn't mind it being on the right. So we have to get him over here to this country to practice a little bit. So we go. Beton is just coming in over the back of the course there with the S's, and onto the back straight in the second wheel. He's having a bit of pressure there from the Porsche. Has he just got past Holzer there? Yeah, he just has, yeah. So he's just moved up a position there, so just waiting for the timing tower. Oh, and that was very late into the corner there, just using his last braking point. So can he get up alongside the Porsche? He's actually very good off the corners, isn't it, Adam? It seems to have good drive, whereas the Lexus, I think, is always just drifting around the corner there. He's using every last end out of the corner. And is the Porsche going to get off the last corner? No, I don't think he is. And the top speed of the Lexus there, I think he's just sort of keeping him at bay.
Yeah, that Porsche seems to have a lot better stability through the corners again, obviously being mid-engined, a little bit lighter. It just seems to be better suited to go through the corners. Obviously the Lexus, we all know it's a very quick car in a straight line. So he's doing his best to just use that power to pull away from the attacking Porsche behind.
Yeah, we've got Antomachi again, only 0.4 per second behind Noah Cox, so he's continuing to put the pressure on, with Kyalami 1.1 seconds behind. But this battling is allowing Dean Riley to get off the top of James Mead there. Wow, that was almost collected the cars behind, with an unsafe release, but he's just nearly pulled across there in front of the Castrol McLaren there. But I wonder what happened there. He looked like he was on his own and just lost it into the kink there. So here's Antomachi behind Noah Cox. This pressure looks like it's going to continue all race, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does look like he's just going to keep pushing and hopefully try and force Nard into a mistake. Obviously, Nard just needs to keep composed and remember that obviously he has got the pace to hold him behind. So it'd be interesting to see how this battle develops.
He's a little bit closer onto the straight there, but let's see how the draft works. Again, he's just holding station, so he doesn't even need to think about defending air there, does he? He's going to have to make a lunge if he's going to try and get past there, or wait for Bernard to make a mistake. So shall we have a quick rundown of the top 10 so far? We've got Dean Riley in P1. Who has currently got the fastest lap with a 1:43.4. Noah Cox in P2 with his fastest lap of a 1:43.882. And Tabachi in P3 with a fastest lap of 1:43.830. Kyalami in 4th with a 1:43.952. Adam Isailovic with a fastest lap of 1:44.160. Dave Jr. in P6. 1:44.077. Nathan Pearce in P7, 1:44.135. Regan Mitchell in P8, so he's made up a few places, 1:44.405, and there he goes for a spin. Commentator's curse strikes again. So he'll be moving down probably to. Wow, look at that train of cars going past him. He's now all the way down to P19 and further P21, so he's moved down from P8 to P21. That's unfortunate, and that's one of those corners where he looks like he might have hit the curb there a bit hard and actually just spat him out. He's falling down even further, so he was P23, unfortunate there. So we'll go back to P8, who's now Wilczek, and P9 in B. Mullard with a 1:44.8, and Rich Bixley, silver leader, in P10 with a 1:44.6. So that should round out your top 10. So Antomachi's now actually fallen back a little bit from Narcos by the looks of things, and Rich looks like he's trying to hunt down their P9, and I think he's actually made up a bit of time recently, only half a second behind.
Yeah, it's a good job here by Pixley, the silver leader, to be hunting down the top 10 of the pro class. So that Bentley seems to be coming to life for him, and obviously this is allowing him to put the pressure on to Mullard just in front.
So we got a replay of James Mead here. What's happened to him there? So that's who we saw earlier. So he's just coming up onto the hill, which would be taking the kink left there, but it looks like he's going to lose it on his, lost it on his own. Oh, and that was excellent avoidance there, because that's a very quick corner. Looks like he's just going to try and move it across. Yeah, he didn't do too badly. It looked worse on the in live there, but yeah, it's unfortunate. He's just got the car unsettled on the curb there, by looks of things, and it just spat him out.
Yeah, it just looked like he tried to jump the curb a little bit too hard, and obviously car got unsettled and just threw him to the curb.
Ruto, when you have that sort of incident, how do you mentally reset yourself?
Yeah, it's of course it's physically a bit hurting, but yeah, you can cry about it, but you still have 44 minutes to go in the race, and you can make up the time which you lost. If this happens in the last 5 minutes or in the last lap, then you will be more pissed about it. But now, if you just continues and you get another nice move done, you will remember that move and forget this incident. So, luckily it's in the first part of the race.
Yeah, he's got a bit of time there. Sorry for the language on the stream there, but we will carry on. So 43 minutes and 46 seconds to go, and Dave Jr. there is putting some pressure on Adam Misanovic, who in the same car. So it's all about the driver and how well they've set the car up. Just trying to put the pressure on there, making sure he's making him look like he can see, definitely see him there. He's moving out in the braking zone, just trying to put Adam off. Looks like he's taken quite a bit of a tighter line, with getting a little bit squirrely there on the curb. Adam's obviously positioning his car really well, just to make sure he's giving no opportunity to Dave to get past. Two of our SSRi esports drivers, Dave Jr. has been taking part in some of the iRacing stuff, as well as the ACC races, so currently in their own series community liveries. And if anyone wants to get involved in the community, please do come and find us on Discord. You'll see the link in the bio below on the stream, and you can sign up to the series. We've got GT4s, GT3s, a monthly endurance race for teams, and our well-renowned proper endurance race series, which runs for the whole year, culminating in a 24-hour race at the end of the year. So please do check it out. It's great fun, and as you can see from the stream, the drivers are very respectful, and it's good, clean, fun racing. Back to the race, 42 minutes to go. Dean Riley now 4 seconds ahead, with Antamachi really only 0.2 seconds behind, and they've really dropped Clive Bainey now. So this battling's not hurting them too much now, is it, Adam?
No, it's absolutely not. You can see that they've managed to pull a little bit of a gap here, I think, with Nard pulling away earlier on from Antamachi. They've given themselves that gap to then carry on, and this battle with a little bit of distance between themselves and obviously the chasing pack behind. Unfortunately, what this battle is allowing is Dean Riley to pull away. Obviously now almost 4 seconds down the road from Nard. So Nard even needs to pull away from Antamachi. Antamachi needs to get through and focus on attacking towards Dean Riley. Otherwise, he's going to have a pretty simple race.
Yeah, it looks like he's he's certainly holding that 0.2 seconds, and it's really difficult to follow, isn't it? It's to be that close. How are you going to pick your braking points and really make sure you get the best exit out of the corner there? It's so difficult if you haven't really practiced too much at following, because a lot of sim racers, especially in sort of the lower classes and the lower tiers, they do a lot of hot lapping, but they don't practice racing, do they? So they find it very difficult to follow close by. And that's all about getting a group of friends together and saying, let's go racing, and have maybe the slowest guy at the front, just so they can have a bit of practice with people following, but also have them switch around and get the practice of driving closely. And there you go, Regan Mitchell, he's pulled back a couple of places there, and obviously putting a bit of pressure on Sebastian de Tollenaire there in front of him in the BMW. But he's hopefully not picked up too much damage, but he'll be sick that he had made that mistake, because he was all on his own there, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, he can't really put anybody except himself on the spot for that mistake, so he's now going to redeem himself as best he can. Try and fight his way back up the grid. Currently behind, looks at 5 or 6 silver drivers there before the next pro car, and there you go, makes easy work there of the BMW, but the BMW might fight back a little bit, obviously being able to fight for that position, so but it doesn't fight too hard. So it really
and he's got to drive through.
I think he's just done. I think he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's gone back to pits.
Speaking of done, we've got Alex Crawford in the chat saying he's RTG'd and decided to have a drink.
Oh well, that's cheers and all that, but unlucky next time. Keep up the racing. I'm sure it's unfortunate that you got involved in an incident there, but it's great racing on screen at the moment with Dave Jr. now really piling on the pressure with Nathan Pearce just behind, trying to reciprocate that pressure. That's probably keeping Dave Jr. in two minds there on what he needs to do. He can't be too aggressive into the turns, especially on overtaking, can he? Because otherwise he'll just let Nathan Pearce in.
Absolutely, he'll fight as hard as he knows he can fight. Pulls out there just to sort of try to dummy Azalovic into coming off the line. It's a very common move for a driver to do, to try and sell a dummy and see if the driver will move out of the way. But Adam, an experienced driver himself, so not falling for that too easily. But Nathan definitely will add a new element to the challenge for Dave. Obviously, Dave trying to overtake Adam, who is obviously, like I said, an experienced driver. Dave himself experienced. I've not had the pleasure of seeing Nathan Pearce much, so I can't tell much about what his driving style is, but you can tell it's very quick as he's keeping up with these two.
Yeah, as you'd expect, in the top tier, it's good, clean, fast racing. So I think they're all fairly evenly matched. Just looking at the lap times, those three certainly, all within 1/10 in terms of their fastest lap, and likewise the last lap as well. Here we go, Rich Pixley on screen. He's only 0.9 behind Mallard, so that's holding station at the moment. The last lap, Pixley was 0.2 quicker, so he's closed a little bit, but looks like it's seesawing a little bit in terms of the gap. So Rich will be looking to make sure he's got enough tyres for the end of the race. Near on 40 minutes left. Just looking at the weather as well, it looks like it's going to stay sunny for the rest of the race. 2:30 p.m. So it's a typical Hungaroring spring. 22 degrees track temperature. So nice for these cars. They do tend to burn their tyres, don't they, when it gets hot, and actually when it gets cold, their wear is pretty high, isn't that right, Oulton?
Yeah, with those cars now driving, it's a nice temperature, so they won't be too hot, but after half an hour you will definitely start to feel the wear off of the tires, so that may also be a part in the race while the Porsche goes for the inside.
Yeah, was that a defensive move, or do you think that was him pulling out? Oh, yeah, he's pulled out, and Danny Deswart he's moved up a position, so good move. And he's looking to defend, actually. Beton looks like he's might have the measure actually here, so it looks like he might have been defending into turn one there. But the Porsche's got excellent drive out of those two corners there, but it'll be struggling on the straights because it hasn't got the top speed of the Lexus, that's for sure.
Yeah, now with the turns in this second and third sector, he will most likely stay in front of Beton if he doesn't make any mistakes. Then has to defend on the straight again. So seems like he will have to battle for it, but he isn't he has the better car for this sectors.
Yeah, it looks like they're definitely hitting their apexes. There's definitely a different line into the chicane there, which might just be in relation to the car. The Lexus, obviously, being front engine, does seem to cope. All the front engine cars all seem to cope with the bumps a bit better. Obviously, with the Porsche with the rear engine there, that's why it gets great drive. But the Beton there is pretty close, and if you can stay that close into the last turn, I think you might be able to drag past the Porsche there, because the top end, as I said, it's not great, and the Porsche's just run a little bit wide. Can he get out? Oh, he's taken a very tight line, the Porsche, and here comes Alexis. It looks like he's going to have a run there. He's in the draft and goes ultra defensive, pushes the Lexus on out the outside, and just Vettel looks like he's trying to force the Porsche to stay tight, which he does, and gets back on him, but he's going to try to out-drag. Is he going to be able to outbrake the Porsche there? And he's got in front of him. That's excellent moves, and that's how to squeeze your opponent, especially when you're on the outside. That just stops them from actually getting back onto the racing line, doesn't it? And allows them to out-drag them into the next corner.
Yeah, this is some amazing racing we're watching between those guys with two totally different types of cars. So it's amazing to see them use the best of their cars on the place of the track where they can use it.
So 34 minutes to go. What are you thinking as a driver? Are you worrying about your fuel if you have put enough in, or you're starting to think your tyres are going off? And we're seeing battles here with Aaron Van Drunen and is that Sverring behind him, I think, with some pressure. We've got behind them Vanir in the Audi, which is my car of choice generally, and it's gone through a reiteration. So with the Challengers pack being released recently, we've now got the Evo 2, which unfortunately won't be in this series because it's partway through, but we will be seeing the Evo 2 in the next season, I'm sure, and that's seemed to have much improved. The downforce is very high, but the top speed's gone a little bit, which obviously was always a strong point of the Audi. But there we've got the two guys in front battling. Are they going to get his more pulled out to try and outbrake? I know he's thought better of it, but that's allowed Vanir just to maybe get a little bit out the inside. And no, they've got a good exit there, and that looks like they've just hold station, so the battle continues. So yeah, what are you currently waiting to do? Are you just sort of you're trying to save your tyres, or it depends on how you're battling on track? What's your thoughts process for 30 minutes to go?
Yeah, well, if you're in a situation like these guys are not right now, then you're mostly like to keep your eyes on the battle and stick to your lines, good apexes. But if you're in a situation that you're driving a bit on your own, a bit of a gap to the car in front, then you're looking a bit to the tires and to the fuel. But most of the time, at about half an hour in the race, it isn't going to be that much of a part, but definitely you are watching a bit more than when you're in a close battle, like these guys now.
Yeah, for sure. How much have you driven ACC, Adam? Obviously, we see you quite a bit in AC.
Unfortunately, not as much as probably yourself or Volta, but I have driven it. I've got to say, I'm more inclined. I've got some money, student finance coming in next week, so I'm going to be buying the new BMW touring car, and I'm sure I'll be putting a fair few laps out on with that. But no, it's just not been my type of game. I'm quite a more touring car, off-road rally driver myself, so. But it's a good game, and it very much does challenge your abilities and teaches you a lot about racing. Obviously, it's modelled after real life, so yeah, it's such a good sim for somebody that wants to pick up and get as close to the action without paying the hundreds of thousands of pounds it is a year to race a GT car.
Yeah, obviously there, Dave Jr. made a mistake into turn one, and that's cost him the position. Or as Aaron Van Drunen, looks like they've come in, got contact there, and going 3 wide into there, and that doesn't go, and he's just pushed the Audi out a little bit there. We go with 3 wide into turn 5 or 4. This is turn 4. No, they thought better of it, but running wide there, that's probably gonna give him a track cut. But this battle is this is really close, isn't it? Just one little mistake there has caused 6 cars now to 7 cars to be running in a train, or a little bit of contact there, but a bit of love tap just to make sure he knows he's there, but hopefully not too much damage. Obviously those 2 cars are going to be ultra matched in terms of their ability, but yeah, it looks like it's just settling down again. But all those 7 cars there, they're just going to be thinking, right now, 30 minutes to go, I've got an opportunity here, especially the guy at the back there to maybe make up seven places. But let's keep it clean, people. Into turn 12 there, you can see the concertina effect of people braking at their normal braking zones, but all nice and clean. All pretty similar lines there into turn 13, and we're all running out wide, which is obviously the quickest way. And again, you can see slight differences there in terms of where they're taking the apex, and also how far out they're running. So that could be a bit of how the cars are set up, but also in terms of driving when they get on the power. The track limits out there is pretty relaxed in terms of the sim, so all good. Nobody seems to get a better exit out of turn 14 there into turn 1, so all line abreast again. So let's have a quick look at what Dean Riley's doing up the front. P1 is 8 seconds nearly in front of Nard Cox, who's still battling with Antamachi, only half a second behind. So as we predicted, it's running on and on, but that Honda's looks like it's got the pace, and Nard's doing an excellent job of not making any mistakes and keeping behind. With Clyde Bainey now 1.3 seconds behind, so he's made up a few tenths on the guys in front, so he's doing well there. The last lap was 2 tenths quicker than Antamachi, who lost 2 tenths on the previous lap to Nard Cox. Adam Isailovic in 5th, 8 seconds behind the leader, 17 seconds behind the leader, but 7.9 seconds behind Clyde Bainey, with Nathan Pearce only 0.4 seconds behind Adam Isailovic. So that battle carries on, with Dave Jr. now 0.6 behind Nathan Pearce after that mistake. Wilczek 0.37 seconds behind. We've got Peter Vanier on screen, who battling there for P16 and 17, and just making sure he's covering his lines, which is excellent work. Looks like he might have a run on the Lexus in front,
John Baton through.
Yeah, John Baton snuck through actually on him, but the Audi and the Lexus are actually fairly evenly matched, I think, aren't they, on the straight? So he might have an opportunity to get back up the inside.
Yeah, well, Audi and Lexus aren't normally my cup of tea, so I can't say pretty deep things about those cars. But it seems like they can follow each other on the straight, so no one has a big straight line advantage.
Oh my God, Antamachi there trying to get up the inside of Nard Cox. Oh, that was contact. Oh, that's on. He's just. That was well caught, wasn't it? That was side by side, hard racing, but he's got back up a lot, behind him. It actually looks like Nard might be struggling with his tyres there, doesn't it?
It does a little. That Lexus seems to be obviously a lot lower down than the BMW. It does obviously. I think it's just the body shape as opposed to the actual settings. But you can just see how much it's going to burn down its tyres. Obviously, it's fighting a lot harder to keep those BMWs behind, and obviously they are rapid. They've been rapid since they came out back in, I believe, beginning of this year, and they don't look like they're going to change. So, this Honda's now fighting the battle of its life with 2 BMWs behind, who are both very quick.
Yeah, and Clyde Bainey only 0.6 now behind these two, and obviously that little coming together has just brought him into play again. And with Clyde and Antamachi both in the same car, it's Antamachi's going to be really struggling to keep him behind once he catches them up. I think he's close enough probably now to get a good tow on the straight, but Antamachi's continuing to put pressure on Nard Cox. Here we go up into turn 4, and Nard's. We're going ultra defensive there, and just taking the kink, but that's obviously puts your car a little bit unsettled if you all of a sudden turn right and then have to turn left. So it's not the quickest way around that corner, but into the hairpin and up to the chicane. We probably see 2 different lines here from those two cars. You can see BMW actually pretty similar there. The lap before, I think it was fairly different, obviously because. Antamachi did manage to get up inside Nard Cox. It looks a little bit more stable there, so he may be just that little mistake that was making his tyres look a little bit dodgy, but seems to be fairly stable again. With Clyde Bainey's now really hunting them down, still only 0.6 behind. Dean Riley now 10 seconds in front of this battle, with Antamachi now looking to maybe put Nard offline, which is obviously going to help him maybe get into the last corner in a little bit better shape. Would you be trying different lines here, like looks like Clyde Bainey just did there? You think that was him showing a different line, or maybe just running a little bit wide?
Well, I believe it's just Clyde Bainey driving wide. It doesn't seem like you want to take the outside of the last corner. You have a less good exit on the straight and you will pick up a bit of marbles. So I believe it's just misjudging of his braking point. Well, but
Beton gets on up to the inside cone sector there with a very late braking move, and well played there. Cone noticing that and just getting out of the corner, because otherwise he'd have been spun around there, I think. And it looks like they're going to have a bit of another love tap on the two Audis there, but down the start finish straight, is going to stay in the slipstream. It looks like maybe Cone has got maybe his car set up with a little bit less downforce, because he's certainly not being pressured by the 34 Audi.
I was just going to say,
go on. Sorry, carry on.
Say that John Baton, after the spin, I'm not sure how far he went down, but he's now up into P3 in the silver class.
Yeah, so actually let's just run down the silver class, actually, because obviously we do have two classes running in this race, with tier 2 and another two classes as well. So in terms of the silver class, we've got Rich Bixley in P1 in 10th, with Aaron Van Drunen in 12th, nearly 18 to 20 seconds behind Rich Bixley in P2 in the silver class, with Beton, as Adam said, in P3, currently running in P14. So he's 0.8 seconds behind P2 in the silver class. So he's certainly got the ability to move up a pace there. You can see Aaron Van Drunen in the CBSR BMW there. So he's got with Antamachi looking to maybe crowd Nard into taking turn 1 a little bit tighter than he would have done, as we saw one of the other guys doing earlier. But Nard's certainly wise to that and managed to get out of the corner pretty well. So he's not had the opportunity to either a cut back or to try and get back up the inside. Again, Clyde Bainey just holding station, just waiting and hoping that the next contact, if there is one, that is a little bit stronger than the door banging that there was earlier, and just to maybe capitalise on that. But it's so Antamachi going in really wide into turn 5. But it's very difficult, as we know, to get past on this track. And just from the Formula 1 races that we've seen, obviously the DRS helps, which we don't have on these cars, but they find it difficult round the back end of this course, don't they? And they have to wait until either turn 1 or turn 2 for the almost solitary passing places.
Yeah, you can see that obviously there's not as it's not as difficult to follow, obviously, with the new gen cars. We're not so sure how they'll react this time round at Hungaroring, but you can see in the past few years that obviously in terms of Formula 1 they struggle to follow through these tight turns. Obviously the GT3 is less aero and allows it to, obviously like these battles we're seeing now, where they can be nose to tail through the turns and obviously accelerate together without any aero wash, as it's called, obviously the dirty air coming off the back of the car. So it does allow these two to follow a lot closer, and it means that he can follow the lines without panicking as much, and it does also open up a lot more corners to overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, and Antamachi there was really close on the tail of Nard Cox there, but the draft had no effect in terms of closing them up, but certainly he seems to be a bit better on the brakes. So it does lend itself to me to think that Nard's tyres are really starting to scream. I'm not sure. I've not driven the BMW that much, so I'm not sure how well it is, how good it is on the tyres. But the front engine cars do tend to be pretty good normally, especially at the rear. So let's see how the last 21 minutes plays out, and we've got, as I said, 21 minutes left, and the battle for P2 has been raging on since literally the first lap, where Nard managed to get in front of Antamachi on the start, and he's probably not quite got the speed, I think, of Antamachi here, but he's managed to keep him behind. So fair play and excellent racing there, whereas Clyde Bainey's now just dropped back a little bit again. In P4 with Adam Masalovic still battling with Nathan Pearce and Dave Jr. Well, Dave Jr. looking like he was going to get up the inside there into I think it's turn 9 with Nath Pierce just starting to put more pressure on Adam Asailovic, which obviously positions have changed with Dave Jr. making that mistake into turn 1, I think it was it, and just under the hoarding boards there is Adam's looking like he's getting out the corners reasonably well, but Nathan's seems to be matching him, and I wonder if we're going to get possibility of a draft here. He certainly seems to be carrying a little bit more speed into the corners, but is that a ploy to Adam there, just sort of maybe getting himself out of the corners a little bit better, which obviously is important. With Danny Deswart there is off into the gravel, and there's that an incident with somebody else there. He was obviously running fairly close with the others in P12 up to P18, so oh dear, now what's happened there? Oh no.
That's
Beton looks like he's got all sorts of squirrely, and didn't hold his brakes, and that's caused a massive incident there in turn 13.
a little bit over optimistic there from Baton. I think he saw a gap open when the CBSR car just ran a little bit wide, and obviously overestimated his chances of getting in before the door closed.
Yeah, I think Tom, our producer, is going to see if he can find a replay. Let's hope he does, and we're going to have a look at that, see what happened, because it's just looked like he got a bit on the outside on the dirty stuff and maybe cut across one of the other cars there. But we'll wait for. Here we go with the replay. So there we go. So Aaron Van Druren makes a mistake on the outside of turn 1. So they've got the run onto him into turn 2. Yep, all looks okay at the minute. So he's coming into turn 3, up the hill.
I think the incident's towards the end of the lap.
Again, all okay so far. Into turn 4. Obviously quite tight racing there, and it's very difficult to race close, as we said before, and those two cars are very, very heavily matched. And obviously, I think it was a bit further up the track, wasn't it? So we're coming into the chicane here. Oh, he's run wide. Oh, he's trying to stop himself from getting a track cut, and that's allowed the car up on the inside. So fair racing there, side by side, and he's backed out. Oh, Baton is it's Baton there. He just come together with the Audi, and there he goes off Danny Deswart into oblivion. Looks like that was part of the incident. So where's Baton? Obviously into turn 12, the 90 degree. So coming up to the incident here that we saw on the mainstream. So incident now. It looks like obviously they come together. Yeah, exactly. He looks like he was trying to take advantage of them two coming together, and there was no space there, was it? Was him for him to go.
The biggest loser there was Team CBSR losing 3 cars in that exchange to the various incidents that happened across that lap. See, we lost the Porsche, the Audi and the BMW in that incident, so a bit unfortunate for them. I'm sure the stewards will take a closer look at it and obviously judge it correctly. But John Baton sort of undoing all his hard work there after jumping all the way up to fighting for P2 to throw himself back down into the bottom half of that pack now.
Yeah, P4 in class now he is, and I fully suspect potentially that he might get somebody to protest him. We don't have live stewarding in these races, unfortunately, but we do in the endurance series. So if the guys feel that they need to report another driver for any poor driving standards, then they do it via protest form, and we have a team of stewards, volunteer stewards, which happily review those incidents and issue any penalties that they deem necessary. So thankfully we don't get too many incident reports in the tiers, so it's good clean racing, and please do, as I said earlier, come and join us. Even on the evenings, just join us on Discord. There's not only people around on track practicing for races. You're more than welcome to join the practice servers and just get a feel of the community. It's really great. We've got 1,350 members now in the community, and doing great things with our ambassador Sam Pearce, who's looking at bringing on new drivers into the community. So we've got Antamachi here, still really pressurising Narcox, who's doing an excellent job, trying to keeping behind in. Hopefully, we don't get any reports on how many track cuts they've got. So there's always the risk, especially the guys following, because they, running wide, like they did there, is running the risk of potentially getting a track cuts, because the track limits on some of these corners are quite difficult. And as you can see him closing up on the braking point there, just the heavy braking zones into turn 13. Just seems to be just sort of maybe just biding his time and just maybe trying to see if he can get Antamachi to make his own mistake and maybe wear his own tyres out. And obviously Clive Bainey just closing back up again. He just seems to maybe make a little mistake and drops back a little bit, whereas Antamachi and Nard just seem to keep ploughing away, and obviously they had that little coming together. But again, there's no way that they're getting a draft there. He's really, all he can do is just wait for a mistake from Nard to try and get out the inside on into turn 1.
Yeah, it seems to be that sorry.
No, carry on.
I was just going to say, it seems to be that the NSX seems to be just holding a little bit of a looser line through the corners. I think he's trying to tyre save a little bit here. Maybe he's starting to wear down his tyres a bit quicker than he'd like. Or trying to force Antamachi into wearing his tyres quicker. But the NSX seems to be taking a little bit of a wider line.
Yeah, just under 14 minutes to go of this race. As we said, no mandatory stop, but when we have a 75-minute race of this series, there is a mandatory pit stop, which can be taken at any time, so opens up a little bit of strategy. It's not lights to flag. Obviously, the guys, and girls, they tend to run as long as possible on the tyres, and then just do a quick dash in the pit stops, because obviously taking fuel does take time. And if you have a pit stop with tyres, then you're basically taking a 30-second stop. So obviously you want to try and minimise that as much as possible. But yeah, here we go. Clive Bainey's really closed up on this lap. Looks like he maybe saved some tyres there, which might be great for the end of the race. 13 minutes left. With Antamachi still behind Nard Cox the whole race, and Nard's I'm sure going to be sweating at the end of this one. How do you cope with being hot? I mean, I personally have a fan and sit with the door open. I don't sit in my underwear like some drivers do. But what about you two guys? How do you cope with being hot and sweaty with your races?
Well, I have a cool unit also cooling my PC stuff, so that brings a bit of cold. And for the 24-hour race of Spa, I adjusted my room temperature to make me feel better for the whole race. So at the start stint it was a bit warmer, and at the end when I was more sleepy I make it cooler, so I stay more awake. So windows open, doors open, but keep your clothes on.
Especially if you've got leather or carbon seat.
Ooh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm sat on a leather seat now, so there's no way in hell I'm taking my clothes off anytime soon. But no, I think it's very much a case of keeping yourself cool requires a lot. Keeping yourself hydrated and cool. So fan maybe during the stop, if you've got like a 30-second stop, a sprint to the freezer to grab some ice cubes to chuck in a drink of water or whatever beverage that you choose to consume across a race, obviously. It's very much a case of planning ahead. If you know it's going to be a hot race, like you're going to be hot through the race, setting everything up so that you're not panicking or sweating midway through a race, trying to wonder when the next bit of cool air is going to hit you.
But just put the viewers in the picture, in terms of how physical actually driving sim cars actually is. Obviously, we've got people out here with direct drives, which is, for those who don't know, is a motor with a steering wheel on it rather than a motor with a belt, which isn't as strong. It's very physical, isn't it? And the types of kit that some of these guys have got, if they've got a motion rig, for example, they could almost feel the G-forces. It's not like a real race car where they do actually feel the G-forces, but they get chucked around, don't they, on these motion rigs or pulled around with the direct drives.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky enough to work with a race team in real life. So obviously, one of our drivers is, in fact, a former driver here at John Munro. And what he's always said to us, you'll get you can feels the same in terms of your arms. You know, you'll always feel the same steering inputs, so you'll know when the car's going through the steering. But obviously, the biggest difference is the G-force. Nothing can prepare you for the sense of G-force as you go through a corner. Unfortunately, I wasn't lucky enough to go out with him last week at Silverstone, just due to logistical issues. But you know, that G-force you feel slower speeds in real life, and obviously because you don't feel it in the game, you obviously feel like you can go a lot faster.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, obviously John Munro, a friend of Simsport Racing International, and who works over at Traction at Silverstone, who's go and check out their YouTube feed as well, and he's did some excellent videos at the virtual Le Mans. With Nathan Pearce now really putting the pressure on Adam Misaljevic. You know, he's looking like he's sizing up for a little bit of a lunge, you know, and you know, just a little bit of late braking maybe into turn 1. But because at the moment, you know, those corners in turn 13 and 14 probably not the best place, are they, for a little bit of a late move? But he's just got out as well as Adam there, and he's certainly in the slipstream. So see how the cars have been set up to see if he can actually get up alongside. But no, he's not quite close enough there. But he's looking like he's showing his nose though to Adam, just to try and put him off, and Adam takes a little bit of a wider line just in case to get out of the braking zone. But that's put Nathan back a little bit in terms of his exit. But we've got is that a back marker in front there, I think, in the McLaren. Is that Planas, I think, that they're coming up to? So that, you know, in the last 8 or 9 minutes, that could really affect things. And Antomachi's got, looks like he's got all squirrely there, and you know, Clive Bainey's now putting the pressure that we thought he was going to bring at the end of the race onto him. So it's now a 3-way proper battle for P2. Nard is battling away, just putting the car in a defensive line as always, and really doing so well at keeping Antomachi at bay there. But Antomachi's now looking like he's dropped off a little bit, and just let's have a look at the gap at about half a second, so certainly a little bit more than what he was earlier. It does seem he could just brake so late into turn 12 there, can't he, in comparison to Nard. I wonder if that's something to do with the weight of the car, or the way that his brake balance, or he's got different brake pads perhaps. Maybe Nard's running the brake pads 1, which is a little bit softer but might not last as long as brake pads 2. But here we go again onto the start-finish straight. But as I'm sure we're going to see again with Narcox, he's just trying to break the toe there, so he's starting to worry a little bit on how quick Antomachi is going to be coming at him. But yeah, still not anywhere near enough to even take a late braking move. But good exit there from Narcox again, with who's that? It's Rich Pixley crashing from P1 in the silver class. But he's got a reasonably big gap to P2. He's still maybe 20 seconds to P2 in class, so he's got a bit of time, but hopefully he's not damaged his car too much. And again, looks like he was all on his own there, but you know, he was fighting for position, so maybe if Tom can have a quick look to see if there was any issue there. We get back to Antomachi and Narcox still battling away, coming up into P6 and 7, into the S's there, into the chicane. Still line astern, Clive Bainey still back there, just waiting, trying to get up onto the back of Antomachi just to put enough pressure on him. But just seems like maybe he's getting spooked or something. And when he's getting close, and Antomachi there just on turning, just the back of the car there just looked like it was very loose. So maybe both cars starting to struggle with tyres. 6 minutes 20 seconds left of the race before we get the checkered flag for Dean Riley, who's currently 16.3 seconds ahead of Narcox. So he's had a pretty boring race, hasn't he, up front? But I'm sure he'll love that. Dean's obviously currently leading the championship, so this will actually be his first win. He's been very consistent all season, but not finished higher than P3. So here goes a replay with Rich Pixley. So what's happened there is coming into turn 13. Oh, he's got it on the grey stuff, and that's slippery over there. That's why he's managed to keep it out of the wall. So just crack on. Why has he stopped? He must have stalled the car. Yeah. So, but luckily he kept it out of the barriers.
Yeah,
that was unfortunate. Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, and we go back to Antamachi and Cox is just carrying on, aren't they?
Yeah, these two have been at it now for, well over 50 minutes, and you can see that Antamachi is now starting to feel the wear on the front of the car. You just saw how squirrely the nose of that BMW got coming through the turn 4 there. He's pushing now hard to try and find any gap. Obviously, Nada's just been on the defensive through all of this, through all the lap traffic, for everything. He's just had the measure of Antamachi so far, and obviously, not trying to commentate a cursing, but he's done a great job to hold off Antamachi and the pace that he's had. Obviously, no discredit to Dean Riley, who's just, he's just driven off into the distance and enjoyed himself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so difficult following, for anyone for more than 2 laps, let alone what we on lap now. It's lap 32, is it? I think we're seeing. Like 32 laps, but it's sat behind a car less than half a second. Yeah, that's some pretty decent driving from Antamachi there, and hats off to all 3 of them in the top, the top 2, 3, and 4 there. But I think I'm half expecting Antamachi to make a move at some point, where it looked like he really was going to start, just send one up the inside there, but he thought better of it. But Narcos has run wide, so is Antamachi going to try and squeeze Nard into the next corner? That's probably what I'd do, just to maybe compromise his exit. But no, he just didn't quite get out of the corner tight enough. But that's again tight onto the grey stuff, onto the concrete there. That's a risky move, because it is slippery, that concrete on this track, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's incredibly slippery. I think, obviously, I've not had too many races here, so I think Volta will probably confirm it better for you. But yeah, I've never really enjoyed getting near the curbs here.
So here we go into the chicane, coming up into the chicane again. Antamachi just manages to carry a bit more speed, and has a slight different line. You see him bouncing over the sausage curb there, but Narcox has again just taken the right lines. Just doesn't really need to do too much in these corners, because there is no way to pass as long as you keep it clean. Up and up into turn 9 and 10 and 11. That sequence is great in these cars. You have to really be on it. It's not like the Formula Ones where you're pretty much flat all through that section. You've got to be just lifting or getting your lines right. But again, you've got Clyde Bainey. Obviously, maybe a little mistake there for Antamachi, but Clyde Bainey's now hot on the heels, 0.4 seconds behind. So again, running wide there a little bit. Maybe it does look like his line going into turn 14. With Clyde Bainey not making much headway, so he's actually dropped to 10th, with Antamachi back now to half a second behind Narcox. So probably what we're looking at, maybe 2 laps to go. I think hopefully everyone's fueled to the right level and they're not having to lift and coast, which I've done had to do a couple of times. Here we go on board with with Dean Riley. As you can see, his best lap time is 1:43.465. His last lap time of 1:44.2. So only what 6-8 tenths slower throughout the race. So that's good going. Narcox is currently 1.2 seconds off his fastest time. So Dean's certainly managed to have as we know, an easy race in terms of where he's been out front, and has not had to put too much pressure on his tyres by the looks of things. Just running a little bit wide there, so he's got to be mindful. He's only got 1 minute 25 seconds left, and not to push it too far, so he gets a drive through for track limits. We haven't seen too many of those, and this is a track where we do seem to get those quite a lot, don't we? Quite difficult to stay in limits on some of these corners.
Yeah, and with the tires now dropping off really hard in the last minute after driving an hour, so you may have some drivers who have 2 or 3 track limits right now. They have to really stay in the limit right now, so people who might be in a fight have to watch out. I don't want to commentate curse on my first race, but still a minute is still a bit to go.
Yeah, so where's Dean now? So Dean is currently on 20 seconds into his lap, so he will be taking the checkered flag this lap, I believe. Only 30 seconds to go. So, yeah, as we said, a fairly straightforward race for Dean. Looking good. In P2, currently Nard Cox still, with 0.7 behind Antamachi and Clyde Bainey with him half a second behind, and Adam Asalevich 13 seconds behind him. And there's Antamachi still putting pressure onto P2, but Nathan Pearce only half a second behind Adam Asalevich. That's another one that's going to the wire with Will Check 1 second behind Nathan Pearce. So he's managed to close in that gap, but I think it's going to be fairly tight. It looks like he's got ahead of Dave Jr. as well, so Dave Jr. maybe ruin the mistake that he made where he was behind Adam Asalevich for so long. So we go Dean Riley into turn 12, coming up to the end of the lap and the end of the race. So you can see the time is counted down to 0, and they've got the two guys here battling in front of him. So I wonder if he's going to just sit behind them, just let them carry on, and they can finish off their race. Hopefully they're not going to do anything unusual and stop in front of him. And here we go, Dean Riley, well done. Takes the checkered flag, the winner of round 4 of the SSRi GT3 Championship. Well done, Dean. There goes Nard Cox and Adrian Antamachi's battling till the end. He's just pulled right back up, 0.2 of a second, and that's probably the closest it's been into the last corner. Unfortunately, it's the last lap and he won't get a chance to out-drag him. So P2, Nard Cox, P3 and Adrian Antamachi. Well done. Clyde Bainey finishing 4th. Adam Asalevich looks like he's going to seal 5th position, as he does, with Nathan Pearce finishing in 6th place. Will Check P7, Dave Jr. and P8. All very close racing there. Mullard in P9 and Dimitri Decoyne coming round into P10. And the winner of silver category is Rich Pixley. Well done to Rich. Good race there after his spin. Still 16 seconds ahead of P12. Zwerink in P12. Coming round the last corner with Holzer in P13, which is P2 in class in the Porsche. So excellent race there to finish P13 and P2 in class. And Van Eer, after his incident a little bit earlier, and the love kissing between the two Audis, in P3 for class and P14. So that's what a race. Action start to finish there with P2, really, a P3 battling as close as you can get really for the whole race. And
yeah,
let's see if we're going to have some guys coming into commentary soon. Hopefully we'll get them in for an interview. So well done everybody, that's excellent. What an excellent race that was. So we're going to wait for the guys to come in, but next race is obviously Misano, as we've seen on the Round the World video for 2 times 30-minute races. So we'll have a little bit of a sprint. We're having some sprint races going on. We'll just have see a bit of a replay of the start, hopefully at some point. Just capture how Nard Cox got ahead of the guys in front. So here we go, and whilst we wait for the guys to come in for an interview. So Dean's obviously took advantage of Sems Benkling obviously having a problem with his internet by the looks of things, and having to start at the back of the pack. Got a good start there, but Antamachi was probably really respectful. He could have probably put a bit more pressure on Dean there, maybe squeezed him a little bit, which probably put Antamachi at a disadvantage really from the cars coming in behind him, and that cost him P2 there, I think, just from that start there, not being able to put a little bit more pressure on Dean, and maybe not allowing him to get away.
Yeah, it was a good start by Dean, but obviously you can see on the start there that Nard actually had a really poor one. You could see that he was actually being attacked by the two BMWs behind, and he's just managed to find his way back through, following Dean to turn 1. I think Antamachi had a little bit of a mistake, ran way too wide into turn 1, and obviously that has allowed Dean to make his way through.
And talking of Dean, we have Dean Riley in the commentary booth for us. Dean, well done. First win of the season, and you extend your lead at the top of the standings. Tell us how exciting that race was for you.
Pretty boring, to be honest. But yeah, they're the good ones, I suppose. You get to manage your own tyres and you get to manage the pace as well. So yeah, for me that was the best way. I could have probably pushed a little bit more, but I was just trying to keep the tyres fresh and keep the lap times consistent and no track cuts, and just build a nice lead, and it all went well.
Yeah, you obviously won't have seen the battle behind, but you making sure you kept the position at the start. Certainly put Antomarchi on the back foot, and he was sat behind Nard Cox the whole race, which great defending from him. But obviously he had a much more exciting race than you did. But as you say, they're the good ones. You can just relax, try not to go to sleep, because that's obviously the difficult bit, not to lose concentration and end up hitting the wall, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, at the start, Antomarchi got a little bit better start than me, but I played a little bit of an early break and then let off, so I was guaranteed to have a good run out of the corner. So Antomarchi actually fell for the early break, which I thought he was going to try and outbrake me and then take the position for P1, but he seemed to mimic what I did, and that's exactly what I wanted him to do, so I could hold the position for T1. Because if he got around the outside, then he's got the apex for the next corner, which that's what I didn't want to happen there. So yeah, it all went to plan, and luckily I think they got stuck, and I managed to build the lead.
Yeah, we were just saying that it was surprising that Antomarchi didn't put you under, squeeze you a little bit more, because you were quite defensive on the inside. Yeah. And obviously, that put him at a disadvantage with Nard being able to get through. So, but well done, good race. Obviously P1, and as we said, extending your lead at the top of the table. So back on to Misano, and are you looking forward to those 2 times 30 minutes?
I enjoy the sprint races. Not driven Misano in a good while, but just get the practice in and hopefully see him again next time.
Great, well done.
Cheers, mate.
Right, on to Nard. Well done, Nard. P2, and well, that kept us entertained for the entire race. You're defending from Adrian. Excellent work there. Obviously it looked like your tyres were struggling towards the end, but how did you find the race there? Obviously good position. First lap to get up the inside, but tell us how you're feeling. Your arms aching?
Yeah, so quality was okay. I could have maybe gone 1 or 2 tenths fast, but I was happy with P4. Yeah, then T1, Adrian went a bit wide, so I could take the inside. If I wouldn't have done that, I would have been P3, I guess, because I have no idea why, but it was extremely off pace. The car was a pain to drive. That was a bit strange, because I drove yesterday evening, it was perfect, and I have no idea what happened, but I was extremely off pace, so I want to apologize to Adrian as well. I know you were a lot faster, and then I was just lucky that we were on this track, because any other track you'd have overtaken me. So he kept me at the front of my seats, never a dull moment. So worked up quite the sweat.
Yeah, it was good. It was good respectful racing. Obviously, a little bit of door banging, but Robin's racing. It was good to see, and obviously maximum respect there. And as we were discussing, it's difficult to defend for the entire race, but it's also difficult to follow as close he was. And you must have had your heart in your mouth at some points.
I think max distance was like 0.5 seconds for the complete race. So that was. There's no room for error. It actually made some errors, but I was quite lucky that Honda has a pretty decent top speed after the upgrade. So especially like the last corner, as long as I got half a decent exit, he wasn't able to catch me in T1. Yeah, the car was really off. I could already notice it under braking. Like I had to brake so much earlier than he did. So I was just waiting for the dive bomb somewhere, but it just didn't happen. It happened a few times, but like you said, we were side by side, respectful. And I just managed to came out on top.
Yeah, so well done, P2, and that helps you in the overall championship, because obviously I think you were down in P15 for the pro class. So
I have no
obviously
idea.
P2 will give you a nice boost in terms of the overall results. So that'll take you up the tables.
Yeah, really painful for Sam that he got a crash and then he had to start at the back. That was unfortunate because he had definitely had the pace to compete at the top. So
it was, yeah, and we saw him flying off into the distance on stream as well, which obviously had another internet issue, which is unfortunate. But in real racing they get DNFs for hardware issues, so we have to expect it in sim racing as well. Unfortunately,
Exactly.
it's unfortunate when it happens. But well done, congratulations. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Adrian, well done, P3. As we said to Nard, excellent racing there at the front, and it couldn't have been closer between you two for the whole race.
Yeah, I think I will have nightmare tonight about the Honda on the top speed especially, but yeah, that was a really intense battle. First, I want to say that now you don't have to apologize. That's racing, so I would accept that. That was even great racing, so I really enjoyed the race, the world battle. And yeah, I think I lacked from the beginning of aggressiveness, especially T1, and everything went there. So I lost P2 there, I think. But yeah, that's racing, and I did enjoy the race a lot. So
yeah, I think we had so obviously as you know, and you're obviously new to racing with SSRi, but it's maximum respect, and that's in days gone by we used to give more severe penalties for the first lap incidents, but allowing people to race is what we're all about, and we trust the drivers to give that respect, but also to race hard, and that's what we've seen today. It's as we said, it's so difficult to follow, isn't it? When you're that close to somebody, picking your braking points. I don't think it could be any more difficult unless it was raining, and that would be the only thing. So hats off to you in P2 and P3. So how are you feeling after that race? I mean, obviously it's been fairly heavy going, but you're going to need to sit down for a little while and collect your thoughts.
I don't know, to be honest. I'm a bit frustrated about the result for me, for myself, but at the same time I really enjoyed the racing. So kind of a mixed feeling. I think I will focus on the next round and try to win it. If it doesn't allow me to do.
Well, you're obviously P1 at Suzuka, so obviously you've had a good result this season so far with a P4 in round one as well. So that's gonna probably move you up, because obviously Lewis Dykes didn't race today. Robbie Stapleford and Charlie Crossland are now out of the series, so you could be moving up to possibly P2, possibly. So it's a good result for you there, and obviously Dean, you're battling with Dean, but Dean's obviously got a big lead, so hopefully he's going to allow you to have a good day next race with double points available, obviously with the two races. So it's going to be important that the two 30-minute races to get a good start and get out ahead, isn't it?
Oh yeah, especially in Misano, I think quali would be really important as Hungaroring. So yeah, we have to work on the setup for that one, and to try to catch with Dean.
Yeah, you're obviously driving the same car, so it's all going to be about talent and setup, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, mainly.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well done, and to our top three, had Dean Riley in P1, Nard Cox P2, and Adrienne Antamachi in P3. Congratulations, and good luck for the next race.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Cheers. Well,
Bye.
I think that's everybody in the interview room that was waiting to have an interview. So, well, what a race this evening. I think it's time to wrap up, and onwards and upwards to Misano next time out in 2 weeks' time. 2 by 30-minute races, as you can see there on April the 12th. So we go to that race on April the 12th. Sovo's live from 8:30. The stream will be live again from around 7:15, so please do subscribe if you haven't already and click the notification bell to be notified of when the streams go live. And as I said, if you do want to watch Tier 2, then you should be able to see it later on once it gets uploaded onto YouTube. So please do have a look at that and help support the community by watching the streams. From everyone here, thank you very much for the broadcast from Tom van der Meer, Adam Bent and Vutavert from joining me in the commentary box. I am Dave Hedges and see you next time.